Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad SYUAIB bin Muhammad MAHMOD. Number metric 1211519. Today I want to share and present about the Orientalism. The subtopic is John Damascus and Islam. What we know John of Damascus. And next we go to about the firstly criticism, critic John of Damascus and Islam. First, John of Damascus assertion that Islam is a foolish religion and foolishness is one of the criticism of Islam. Allah stated regarding in his Quran, surely the true religion with Allah is Islam. Ali Imran verse 19. In reference to what God declared religion of Islam. And another surah in the Quran, Surah Al-Ma'idah, verse 3, today I have perfect your faith for you, complete my favor upon you, and choose Islam as your way. That verse make it clear that Islam is a faith, is a faith that God approve of. And another criticism about the Prophet Nabi, according to John of Damascus, he said Muhammad is a false prophet. Allah said in the Quran, Surah Ali Imran, verse 114, Muhammad is no more than a messenger. Other messenger have gone before him. John of Damascus made numerous and charges concerning about Islam and Prophet Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. All the accusation and criticism are unfounded and lack of the compelling evidence. And then we go through about the biography John of Damascus. We must to know about the biography one of the Orientalists critic about Islam and Prophet. First of all, John of Damascus was born around the year 675 in Damascus, which was then part of the Umayyad Caliph. And then John of Damascus, also known as a saint, John of Damascus, was a prominent Christian theologian and a monk who lived during the 7th and 8th centuries. His family served as a high-ranking official in the Muslim administration, held a prominent position such as her father, Sergius, and her grandfather, Mansur, held a prominent position as a financial administrator under the Umayyad Caliph. And his significant contribution to theology, philosophy, and hymnography. And the last Saint John of Damascus died around the year 749, and his feast day is celebrated December 4th in the Eastern Orthodox Church until now.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad ARIF HAIKAL bin Abdul HALIM. My metric number is 1211513. Today I will explain about author's argument in John of Damascus and Islam. The first argument that is stated by John in John of Damascus and Islam is John's thought about Islam and Muslim were very important. At the same time, they were shocking in how rude and aggressive they were. They led to what could be called extreme and hostile anti-Islamic polemics, which in turn led to the beginnings of what is now called Islamophobia. The second argument is John also mocked Prophet Muhammad, sleep-induced revelations, and they answered that while he was asleep, the scripture came down upon him. He remarked, "We joke that since he received the scripture while asleep and did not feel the activity, the old adage, you were spinning me dreams, was realized." Then the third argument that is stated by John is John also said that Muslims kiss and rub a black stone that called as Hajarul Aswad at their Mecca Kaabah, because upon it Abraham had intercourse with Hagar, or because he tied the camel when he was about to sacrifice Isaac. And the last argument is John's actions were justified. Islam and Muslims. Otherness was complete. John did not remark on the Islamic laws described, letting each person decide Islamic law and the Quran are absurd. They're self-explanatory, thus just stating the obvious and emphasizing the scriptural mainstream. Discrepancies is worth 1,000 words. That's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum. اسمي محمد SAUFI RAMLI بن محمد داليم رقم التسجيل 1211 First of all, I want to describe the analysis of John of Damascus and Islam. The source of knowledge by John of Damascus has several advantages in his analysis of Islam. Number one is early Christian devotion. The writings of John of Damascus are his ones of the earliest comprehensive reactions of Christianity to Islam. It provides valuable insight into the perceptions and concerns of Christian communities in the early centuries of Islamic expansion. As the primary source of this era, the book offers a historical and theological perspective on the encounter between Christianity and Islam. Next, we go through to the investigation. John of Damascus covers various aspects of Islam, including its teaching, practices, and beliefs. He critically examines the fundamental of Islam, including the nature of prophets, the Quran, and understanding of Jesus Christ, and analyzes in the detail the differences between Islamic and Christian teaching. Third, teaching comparison. The book effectively compares and contrasts the core tenets of Christianity and Islam. John of Damascus highlights the theological differences between the two religions, especially regarding the nature of God, the Trinity, and the divinity of Jesus Christ. These comparisons contribute to a deeper understanding of the theological contradictions between Islam and Christianity. Besides that, the advantages of the book of John of Damascus in Islam is influence on Christian thought. The Islamist writings of John of Damascus have had a lasting impact on Christian perspective and Islamic apologies. His argument laid the groundwork for later Christian scholars to engage with Islamic theology and develop a dialogue between Christianity and Islam. The book's lasting impact is evident in subsequent works dealing with the same subject. Last but not least, the historical significance. Source of knowledge provides valuable historical insight into the early development of Islam. It sheds light on the theological controversies of the time and contributes to an understanding of the historical background in which the Islamic faith arose. This book is a valuable resource from scholars and historians interested in studying the early interaction between Christianity and Islam. While sources of knowledge provides an important analysis of Islam, it also presents a Christian perspective that can be criticized or modified by Islamic scholars and others studying the same subject. It is important to note that we present the Islamic writings of John of Damascus provide valuable insight into the historical context and Christian perspective of his time. But there are some weaknesses that should be considered when analyzing his writings. Number one, prejudice and controversy. John of Damascus wrote at a time of religious conflict and tensions between Christianity and Islam. His writings reflect strong anti-Islamic prejudice and intentions to defend and promote Christianity. His analysis of Islam may therefore be influenced by controversial considerations rather than objective scholarship. Next, the second weakness are that based on the analyzing the book of John of Damascus and Islam is limited understanding of Islam. John of Damascus lived several centuries of the founding of Islam, but had limited access to accurate and comprehensive information about the religion. His knowledge of Islam is likely based on second-hand sales and interaction with Muslims, and may be incomplete or biased. As a result, his understanding of Islamic teaching and practice may not have been entirely accurate. Besides that, we can notice that the lack of cooperation with Islamic scholars. John of Damascus had no direct intellectual exchange or discussion with the Muslim scholars of his time. His analysis of Islam was based primarily on interpretation of Islam's scriptures and faith, without considering alternative perspective or engaging with Islamic scholarship. This limits the depth and breadth of his understanding of Islam. Next, we can see the historical background. It is important to consider the historical context in which John of Damascus wrote. The Byzantine Empire in which he lived was embroiled in conflict with Islamic forces, and his writings were shaped by the religious and political tensions of the time. His analysis may have been influenced by the need to defend Christianity from what he perceived as a threat. Last but not least, an incomplete picture of Islam. John of Damascus emphasized his disagreements, focusing primarily on criticizing Islamic teachings that differ from Christian beliefs. As such, his analysis may not provide a comprehensive understanding of Islamic theology, practice, and philosophical perspective as a whole. When analyzing the Islamic writings of John of Damascus, it is important to approach it with critical thinking, considering the biases and limitations inherent in his work. Supplementing his writings with more extensive research, including work by the contemporary scholars, could lead to a more nuanced and balanced understanding of the historical interaction between Islam and Christianity. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name Muhammad Firdaus bin SHAIRUL Azman. Metric number 1211527. So the conclusion that we can make to the John of Damascus is brought wrong ideas and false accusation against Muslim. He also distorted and falsified some verses and stories of the Quran. He described Prophet Muhammad SAW as a liar and a crazy woman, and he blamed the Muslims that they wrapped themselves with black stone and worship the Kaaba. In Quran, Surah Al-Imran, verse 19, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. إن الدين عند الله الإسلام وما اختلف الذين أوتوا الكتاب إلا من بعد ما جاءهم العلم بغيا بينهم ومن يكفر بآيات الله فإن الله سريع الحساب. That means indeed the religion in the sight of Allah is Islam, and those who were given the scripture did not differ except after knowledge had come to them out of jealous animosity between themselves. And whoever disbelieve in the verse of Allah, then indeed Allah is swift in taking account. So that's all from us. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.